Okay, so today we're going to talk about the bow. A lot of times in my technique videos I talk a lot about the left hand, but today I'd really like to focus on the bow. As you can see, I have a huge bookshelf. I've done an awful lot of study over the years, studying pedagogy and reading different approaches to the use of the bow. And you know, if you do in-depth study about the bow, you learn about the Franco-Belgian method and the Russian method and the French method and the American method. And in today's world where you can go on the internet and look at everything, it's really interesting how everything is just kind of melding together. But I'd like to give you a little exercise today just about how to develop flexibility. I was a really late beginner in the violin, and I played on my own for a year before I got lessons. I started when I was 16. I didn't get lessons until I was 17, and I had a great deal of tension in my hand. And it took years to sort it out. And of course, we all go to our teachers, and the teacher says, okay, you've got to do it this way, and the Russians do it this way, and the Belgians do it that way. Now, in my study, I came across a couple of books. This one, beg your pardon, the old rag from, I've got it all in pieces in a folder. This is from the Nicolas Leroux method. And I remember looking at that as a 16, 17-year-old and thinking, that's a really odd looking way to hold the bow, isn't it? And I never really liked that picture, and I thought that's kind of strange. And my teacher was kind of more of a, my teacher studied with Garbavitsky from the Russian school, had a very flat approach in the hand. So this was very foreign to me. And then there's another wonderful book that I discovered in a music store by Lobko. It's called The Concept and Study for Violinists, and it's called The Lobko Method. And it's mostly text. And I remember sitting in a music store, and I thought, this is an absolute goldmine. Fantastic. If you get a chance, have a read through that. It's phenomenal. Lobko, like myself, also knows a great deal about lutherie. I'm a violin maker as well. So that really informs the way you think of the violin. Now, I'm rambling a little bit, but I'll show you how all this comes together. And my bow, I've got lots of different bows in here. What I'd like to show you today, first of all, a lot of younger players especially approach the bow without appreciating the beauty of how it's made. Bows all have a balance point, so I'm holding the bow at my balance point here, a little close to the camera. And you know, it's a specific measurement. There's a parameter, but putting your violin fairly flat on your shoulder and setting the bow there like this, you can put the wood away like this, about a hand's width above, and the bow should just sit there. Okay, so now the exercise we're going to do, and this will go into both Lobko and Leroux. If you think of your hand like this, and you've just washed your hands and you're letting water drip off your fingers, and then you try to stop the water from dripping, that can do so much for your flexibility. Like I said, I worked for years trying to figure out how to use the bow, and you've got to hold it this way. So my hands, the water's not dripping, okay? There's the balance point, and the point of that is there's going to be no stress on my fingers, okay, when I go to grab the bow. If you do this, do it over a carpet, and be careful. When I show my students this, they always drop it at the beginning, but no stress. There's no stress. You're just going to grab the bow like this, just like that, and then do a little collé stroke. Open your fingers and close your fingers. And I would suggest the D string like this. Okay, and then we're going to go below the balance point near the frog, and now we'll go to the A string so that the bow is going to want to do basically this. It just wants to fall out of your fingers like that. So that feeling of falling toward the floor, still like a balance point, but we can't let go of it here. Let it fall and come back nearer to the frog. I don't have my students do it too near the frog because then you get into tension and stress. So this is all about being natural. And of course, it's just the fingers and the wrist. You can rest your hand on something and then out at the tip. It's hard to show this on a camera again. And now my fingers are going to come off the bow, and that's just fine. And come back. Okay, now, when we do the long stroke, it's just a very slow release of the fingers. And we get something very much resembling that picture in the Leroux book, don't we? Just very comfortable. Now you can tell your students for 1,000 times, hold the bow this way or that way. But if they discover it from this roundabout way, it's much easier. Now let's talk about what Labko talks about in his book. And he says, the bow plays itself. And I thought, what does that mean? And then I read what his book is. If normally we do this with the instrument sitting on a chair, but it's kind of hard to show. I don't have good camera equipment, but if you put the bow like this and simply pull it, it makes a great sound, fabulous sound. And it's all about placement. We all know about the sound point. If you're down here, there's too much weight, no good. Here, it's no good. So in the middle, it should just make a beautiful sound with just nothing. Bow plays itself. And of course we come in, we do go in and out so that the bow will climb the string. And then this way, the opposite, we go out so that the bow climbs the string. In and out. So all of this motion comes together. So what I'm trying to get at here is that sometimes we can work too hard with the bow trying to achieve these things. I mean, I remember working with martelé for years and collé stroking and never really understood it from a simple standpoint. Rest the bow here, find the balance point, you know, like that. So it's just going to sit there and rock. Let your hand relax, take the bow and play. So I used to have a much more aggressive sound. I can still go to that if I want, collapse the hand a bit, you know, get that kind of thing, but more, just let the bow play itself. And you find out what the violin has, if it will take a little bit of a push, if it won't take. This is not this is a trade French violin. I didn't make this one. Each violin does a different thing, but any violin should play. If it's set well, with nothing. The bow plays itself. So I hope that helps you. I know it's a little bit rambly. Maybe watch the video again and look at these things about how that hand opens and closes. And try to have a very natural approach with relaxed shoulders, round fingers, a whole very relaxed approach. And I hope that helped you. I'm Stephen Collins, and this is St. Cecilia's Conservatory of Music in Sarnia. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd be pleased to hear them. Thank you very much for watching.